Hello, this is Tom and Corissa on Tentacles, the podcast from Crown and Reach. We are feeling our way through the murky waters of strategy and operations in an uncertain world.
Taking a very leisurely walk through Bournemouth Central Gardens. Oh, this is upper, and then it becomes middle, then it becomes central, and then it becomes the sea.
Doesn't it become lower at some point?
Oh,
we descend
that would
into
make
the
sense,
lower
wouldn't it? The birds are singing.
Yeah.
They'll shut up tomorrow when it gets down to 0 degrees again.
It's going to get really cold. And we're going quite literal today in terms of the intro to this podcast, talking about feeling our way through the murky waters of strategy and operations. Because we're going to talk about when you're asked to be more strategic.
We are, yes. And I'm going to ask Tom to be more strategic by walking a bit slower. Because me, 5-month pregnant lady, already out of breath, and we're literally walking downhill.
Yeah, it's normally the other way around. You're normally the forced march person.
It is.
And I'm trotting along behind trying to keep up.
Yeah, we need reins, one or the other. So maybe we should both have a pair of reins to just keep the other person in check.
That sounds good.
And then wear them all throughout our daily lives, whether we're walking or not.
Just be strapped to each other at all times.
Oh
like we're up on a snowy mountaintop, and if one of us falls off, the other one comes too.
Oh yeah, going down with our ship. I like it. Anyway, it's sort of all vaguely relevant to the topic today, which is a thorny one. And you're going to read out a comment or a question.
Yeah.
From a chap called John Grant.
Yeah, a good friend of ours from the Kinevin Slack, which you don't need to be a member of, but you can if you want to. Just ping me. I let people in. But he's a labour market researcher, which is interesting. It's a fun job to do, and he focuses on IT. So he's saying, I speak to those employed in the IT industry at various levels, and changes in the workplace are beginning to bite. I'm hearing people describe shifts that, in my opinion, cannot be explained away by any single factor. He gives a few example factors, which I don't think we need to go into now, but
we'll put the comment in the show notes.
Oh, good idea. Yeah. Nice. He goes on to say that one person, for example, was told they needed to be more strategic, and he's put those in big scare quotes. It's also clear they have not received any training to become anywhere near the kind of strategist leadership now expects.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, a common plight. I think we hear it all the time. People are having higher expectations dumped on them, and there's less money and time available to actually help people develop those skills, right?
Yep.
And so I mean, one thing that John...
He goes on to talk about exactly that. So the part of the discussion is actually Dave Snowden pointing out that it's often better to do a team engagement for this sort of thing, or to work on something, a specific engagement with mentoring.
Right, yeah.
That's more effective.
So some of the options that are kind of come up in this thread are do some sort of formal course in, something, learn some strategic model, or mentoring one-to-one, or team coaching. All of these things come up, all of which can be great, but also kind of fall into that problem that I just talked about of needing time or money to be invested into it from someone who isn't you, or indeed from you.
Yeah, exactly. And that's exactly what John says is the pattern he's seeing is more like a double bind. Employees are told to develop capabilities like strategic thinking, but their orgs are not investing in that development. So people are turning to self-training, but they don't know quite what self-training they need, actually, is often the case.
Right, and it's such an interesting topic because I think we immediately started chatting about this the other day.
Yeah.
It depends how you interpret the instruction to become more strategic. Like, what does that mean? And what does the person mean? Like, it could mean, it probably does mean that they would like you to spend less time doing things that aren't as valuable, right? But then often, like, the things that you've been explicitly told to do, like the organisation's quarterly goals, are not the things that are actually getting prioritised at the organisation. So you might be prioritising your work thinking, well, we've got our priorities, we've got our objectives, and I'm lining my work up to play into that, and yet I'm still being told that I'm not, it's not valuable enough.
Yeah.
So what's going on there?
Well, there you go. That and I, when I saw this, I immediately put my cynical hat on And you actually dragged me back to the world of good faith and optimism, didn't you?
Wow, it's a rare occurrence.
Yeah. But I think you're right. Often the stuff that the organisation is saying is the official goal is only one interpretation of things, to put it in a really good light. It's often a bit of it's often like not what really needs to happen at all, isn't it?
Right. Sometimes it's kind of a smokescreen, like you have to tell a good public-facing story about what your vision is and, you know, where you're trying to get to, but then behind the scenes there's things that, like, often for good reasons, you can't really be explicit about in public.
Yeah.
And
the classic one is, of course, your real objective as a leadership team is to become fundable.
Right.
But you can't say that out loud, because then you won't be fundable.
Yeah. And
so you have to construct a load of like OKRs or goals or objectives, whatever you want to call them, which hopefully get you in the right direction, but are actually quite confusing for people sometimes.
So where's the good faith, bad faith bit? I'm struggling to.
Right. So the bad faith side of it is strategic. Is what's called a suitcase word. People can put anything they like in it, and just unpack what they like from it.
Right, similar to content, another
exactly
much hated but also necessary word.
Yeah, or AI, another topical example. Way, do we ring the AI bell at that point? It means whatever people want it to mean. And what I've noticed, what we've both noticed, I think, in organisations, is sometimes strategic is really a label for higher status. So what they might be saying by be more strategic is act more like an executive. Act more canny, basically. Be more canny.
Be more politically savvy.
Yeah. Just be more politically savvy. Understand how to do that when you don't know already.
Yeah, exactly. Be like me. I'm on 4 times the salary of you, and you haven't had the experience that I've got, and we have different personalities, but just be more like me.
Done. Yeah.
Problem solved. End
That's
of
one way it might be. The other thing it might mean is, look, you're making me look bad. Make me look better to my boss, which basically means intuit better what I'm saying, like read between the lines of what I'm saying to understand that what I really mean is something else. And you're not understanding that. You keep doing what I tell you, and what I want you to do is do the things that I want you to do that I can't tell you.
Right, and sometimes it's a question of can't tell, won't tell. Like maybe, you know, the person just, you can't kind of call a spade, and there are annoying but kind of sensible reasons for that.
There are.
But sometimes it's, you know, maybe the manager isn't giving very good guidance. Like maybe there are sensible, explicit goals that haven't been very clearly communicated.
Yep. Yeah, it might be just that. It might be not very good at communicating it. And it might be sometimes hands tied. They need you to do something that they can't legally tell you.
Exactly.
Or they can't safely tell you in some way, which takes us perhaps to the most cynical version, which is this manager who's saying I need you to be more strategic is really just offloading risk. They're taking risk off themselves and saying, look, I've told my dude to be more strategic. It's not my fault then that he's doing the wrong thing, the whole thing crashed and burned, etc.
Oh wow, yeah, that is quite cynical,
isn't it?
I think that thankfully isn't the case a lot of the time.
No,
but it is plausible.
Yeah, sadly plausible. So if we go back then to our positive story, and the manager who's genuinely well-meaning, slippy floor. It's so boggy and wet.
Yeah, well, you're the one who wanted to come out for a walk for this one. I've got no sympathy. I might just push you over in the mud. See how you like that.
That seems fair. That does seem fair. Let's go back to the manager who means it, like who means well, who's trying their best, who's trying to help the employee, who they see repeatedly as like, you're just wasting time on stuff that doesn't actually matter, and I need you to stop doing that and get on with doing things that are actually going to matter.
Right, yeah. So taking the kind of good faith, I really want to help my the person that I'm managing, you know, be more strategic, but I can't be explicit about it, and I just need them to develop a sense of what I'm trying to say. That is then what that depends on is kind of having this understanding that sometimes what's said to be the priority isn't always the real priority, and you can figure out the real priorities by looking at not so much the official stories that the organisation is telling about what's important to us over the next 6 months or year or whatever it might be, but actually what are the behaviours internally that get rewarded, and like what are the real things that get prioritised? What's kind of actually going on, and just decoupling that from the official story.
I think if you can put aside the official story completely for a while and just look at those behaviours you described across a series of projects, what are the patterns of what gets greenlit and what gets cancelled? I
mean, even try telling yourself, what if the official story is absolutely not true? Like, what if it's a load of garbage and I should imagine the opposite of the official story? What might then be true? That's almost a good starting point, isn't it?
It is, and you're doing a bit of science, aren't you? You're saying, let's look at the actual stuff we observe, look at the things that are anomalous. Well, that's surprising. I wouldn't expect that project to be getting greenlit. What would have to be true in order for that project to be greenlit? Okay, if that were true, what else might I see? Then you can go and look for those signals as well.
Exactly. So basically starting off telling a completely different story to yourself about what's going on and seeing how true that feels once you go down that kind of line of thinking.
Yeah, and it's one of our classic tricks, isn't it? Tell more stories about what might be going on, because the story you're telling yourself, the one story you're clinging to, is probably not true.
I mean, especially if you're feeling like this kind of constant grating like sense that reality doesn't kind of add up anymore, then it is almost certainly because the story that you're clinging to isn't a helpful one. Isn't kind of accurately telling you what's going on.
That's really fair. And it's you could also describe that feeling as almost pre-burnout.
Yes, and we should just mention the method is signal stories options, isn't it?
Yeah, that's that.
Which I think, have we got something useful we can link to?
We do, yeah, we've got an article about that.
And
it's a card in Pipdex.
It's a card in Pipdex, and we've probably got some podcast episodes from the distant past. But yeah, it's a useful thing to learn how to do, is just challenge yourself to tell several different and very different from each other stories about what might be going on, even if you are really convinced that the story that you're telling at the moment, well, that's the one that makes sense to me, so that must be true. Just try putting it aside.
Yes, and for a model of this, you can see in this exact episode how we have gone through a series of different stories that may or may not be true, and some of them have been more positive, some of them have been more cynical. We're exploring the range of things. We don't know what's true in your situation. Probably no one story is true in any situation. So it's better if you have a range of them available. What we've noticed again and again is when you have more stories available to you, it changes two things that are really important. One is it changes the sorts of actions you might be able to take next. The options available to you shift, and you've got different options on the table. You're probably in a situation, if you're feeling stuck like we're describing, and you're feeling like people are telling you to be more strategic, you're probably not satisfied with any of the options that are on the table at the moment. So telling different stories is a good way to change the options that are on the table. Or change the table.
So to give a kind of work through an explicit example, if the story that you're currently telling yourself is that the organisation's explicitly stated goals are real, and you've been structuring your work to meet those goals, but it doesn't feel like that's leading to a good outcome for you. Like if and now if you assume that's not true, what signals would you be seeing? And then looking at your own situation, what signals are you seeing? So like if you have been, if you've been planning your work and you're confident you've been doing good work according to your personal goals and whatnot, but then you see that in your one-to-ones with your manager, the manager looks frustrated or tries to tell you to do something differently or do a different task that wasn't on your list at all. I'm like, where's that come from? Or if you have a dreaded 360-degree review, or whatever they're called, and then suddenly all the feedback is, well, this person is they're not contributing to the team or whatever, and you're like, but I'm doing what the team said is important. Like, it's things like that. Those are specific signals of things that have happened that don't support the story that you were originally telling. So what story do they support?
Yep, that's a nice one. Then you can tell that story. And that gives you more options for action first, doesn't it? Which is really nice. You can then choose to act differently
in ways that make sense to you as well, which matters.
Exactly, because maybe your default option that you were following was to just, do your work through your to-do list based on the plan that you'd made with your manager at the start of the year or whatever, according to the explicit goals. Right, so that option isn't working for you. What's a different option that you could take?
Yeah. And the other magic thing that starts to happen, which you touched on a little bit already as well, is when you change the story, you'll start to see different signals. Stuff will pop up that you go, oh, that makes sense now, and you can actually observe it.
Right, it's that typical confirmation bias. You see what you're expecting to see.
Exactly.
If you open your eyes to a different story, well, then you start seeing different signals that support a different story.
Yeah.
They might also be wrong.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, they probably are. You might have to tell several more stories until you find something that makes sense.
And this is the dangerous trap you can get into, which you can get stuck in conspiracy thinking, which is where you hold your story to be absolutely true and you treat any evidence as supporting that story, even if it's contradictory evidence. It's because people are trying to trick you. That's something to watch out for. If you can tell more stories, so you've got the conspiracy version, you've got the no, everyone's being fully honest and telling me everything version, but you've also got all the other versions as well, then I hope that tends to make you freer, doesn't it?
Right, and I guess just to conclude that particular example of an outcome of the people who tend to do really well at work, from what I've seen over the years, it is people who are good at playing the official game and also the unofficial game.
Yes.
So it's not that they're throwing their to-do list in the bin and saying, well, screw your team goals, I know they don't matter, I'm going to go and do this instead. Like, that's not necessarily a good idea, or it might be, but not necessarily.
Not necessarily.
But there's
we
an
did
art.
not recommend that. This is not legal advice.
But there's an art to kind of doing enough of the official stuff that it ticks the box of like everybody, looks like they're following the official plan.
Yeah.
But you also create space and time to do the stuff that's actually valuable, and you do it under, like, not undercover, but you kind of create space to do it in a way that other people just aren't doing.
Yeah, that's a nice
which might mean
it.
putting less time and effort into the official stuff, just half-arsing it a bit because it doesn't actually matter that much, and then spending more time on the other things. But it still looks like you've done all the official stuff to a good enough degree and everyone's happy, right?
Yeah. It is quite sobering how much the official stuff can be half-arsed and you're still fine.
It really is. I think it's been one of the biggest light bulbs of my entire life. Of how actually, like, are you spending time on things that just don't need to be done to that standard?
Cool. So what we've covered there is that sort of a broader approach to sense making that will make you more strategic in, dare I say it, a slightly Machiavellian way. It's a, how do I operate within this complex system of an organisation where I can know that the official line is not really true and I need to be more aware.
Exactly. It's just I guess the understanding that things aren't always as they seem.
Yeah.
So that just, I think often, and I've definitely met lots of people like this and been people like this who are just diligently trying to do a really good job of the stuff that is said to be important, and you're wondering, like, why doesn't it feel good? Why am I not getting promoted? Why
is that person over there getting promoted when they've done an objectively bad job?
Right. So I think if somebody's listening to this thinking, well, I've been told to be more strategic, what does that mean, and why am I, like, I'm trying harder and it's still not working, there's probably a good chance that this particular story that we're telling now relates to you.
Probably, yeah.
But there are also infinity other stories.
Oh, there are. But yeah, and there's actually a really good book recommendation for this particular situation. It's called Stealing the Corner Office, and we can put a link to it in the notes, obviously, but easy to find. And it basically says, all the official story at work, that's probably not what matters. Here's what you can do instead. Be more canny. But I wanted to zoom in and say, well, look, there is actually, that's quite a broad thing, and it's quite applicable in lots of different situations, but it's not going to get you a tactical win today. Mm-hmm. Something that could get you a tactical win today is you could choose to start back briefing. Mm-hmm. So when your leader says, I want you to be more strategic, the very simplest thing you can do is start to look for feedback by proposing what your action is going to be in the way that you think is strategic right now.
Right, lovely. So say your team has an explicit goal. Let's say that it's a good goal for the time being,
and your manager says X, or this executive says X, and then you kind of go back to them and say, right, so what I'm hearing is X and maybe Y, and Z is my plan.
Yeah.
Does that sound sensible to you? Something like that?
Yeah. I think that this is the thing you're trying to tell me. This is feeding back what I heard when you said this is the strategy. Therefore, I'm going to do the following action,
right,
which I think is the right action, and this is what I'm looking for to tell me if that action is working or not working.
Exactly. So it's contextualising your specific immediate bit of work within what's been kind of said to be the broader goal, and also how you are going to be assessing the quality of that work, like the effectiveness of that work.
Yeah, that's it. And I've got to be honest with you, when you first try this, if you've not done that sort of thing before, what you'll probably hear is, no, that doesn't make any sense at all.
That's not what I meant.
Yeah.
There's usually a softer version.
There is,
like,
yeah.
Are you insane?
Yeah, you're not going to get smacked down first time. In fact, if your boss is a good boss, your leader is a good leader, they will be delighted that you are communicating like this.
They will, and they'll be so relieved, because they will probably realise they put something in it, they described something in a way that actually didn't do a good job, and it gives them the chance to say, what I really meant is this.
Yeah.
And the implications for this are A, B, C, D, E.
Yeah.
And it's just stuff that it wasn't available to them to say at the time, and you've helped them clarify that, and it's a wonderful feeling. You've given them a gift, right?
Yeah.
Like, they're very grateful for that most of the time.
You're being more strategic and helping them be more strategic. Isn't that cool?
Yeah, I mean, that's promotable.
Yeah. So one of the there's an acronym that we like to share, and this is something when we're working with teams, guiding teams to be more strategic, we tend to use this as a simple way to start this process. CPT. Context, proposition, triggers. And that's just, context is saying this is the situation, the challenge or the opportunity, summarised as I understand it. Proposition, therefore, this is the thing that I'm going to do about that. The next thing I'm going to do, which is something short term. We're not talking you need a several month plan. What you need is just, I'm going to take action that relates to that context and moves us forward.
Right, and it also might mean saying, acknowledging, so like at the moment in my task list for this week, I've got this, but now I understand that actually I can see a better way of tackling that by kind of changing my plan to this. And you're kind of acknowledging the fact that plans need to adapt, and you are kind of being critical of your own work, which taken too far obviously is a bad thing. You end up eroding your own confidence and other people's confidence in you.
Yeah.
But everybody makes mistakes, and everybody knows that, or you have to kind of adapt over time.
Right.
And so showing that you are thinking that way is, again, it's just a source of relief to bosses who are like, well, I don't have to micromanage this person as much. Like, they're looking out for their own opportunities to do their work better.
They're not just waiting for me to tell them what to do and give them all the parameters. They are actively figuring out the parameters, figuring out how to take meaningful action. And that's where the triggers comes in, the T part of CPT. That is, you're going to say, if my proposition is working, I expect to see these sorts of things. If my proposition isn't working, I expect to see these sorts of things. And that's when I'd think again, try something else, that sort of thing.
Right, it's a kind of very small, daily, individual version of pivot triggers, isn't it? Yeah. Which is a kind of our team level method, or organisational level method of if you tackle a project, right? Like how are you going to check if it's going in the right direction or the wrong direction? Yeah, you're setting yourself deliberate checkpoints, really, aren't you? Deliberate checkpoints. We expect to see certain things by then. If we don't, it's probably a signal we need to think again. Yeah, and it's really simple to do, but it's simple, but it's not easy, because it does involve you actually having to build some muscle to be more strategic, to make sense of a situation and summarise it in a way that makes sense back to your boss, to be clear about the action you're going to take that might make that better. Yeah, but I mean the good news is you can do it immediately today with no money. Yep. And very little time. And we'll give you a couple of flavours of it, because in any project that you're given, in any sort of strategy you're expected to strategise or strategize, there's going to be some stuff which is like really, really certain. There's stuff with low uncertainty where you're going to have to do it in any case. And then there's going to be other stuff which is much
which is incredibly high uncertainty, where actually no one can know the answer yet. So those are two extremes. And what you'll do with your context proposition triggers is actually different for each of those. If it's the really high certainty stuff, well, often the way to win is to, with these sorts of, in various organisations, is to demonstrate meaningful progress on the stuff that has to happen anyway, which is often quite boring. It's setting things up, laying groundwork that's going to be relevant whatever you end up doing, creating more options for you in the future potentially, but you can just show progress with that. So this week we did X% of progress on setting up the development environment, blah, 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 if you're like technical, that sort of thing, which means that then we can do the next thing. Meanwhile, we also noticed that the biggest uncertainty, the biggest risk we see for this project is that no one's going to want it when we build it. The thing that we are building that we think is definitely going to work, it's not clear to us that actually customers will want it. So what we're going to do is email 10 friendly customers offering them access to this early if they'll pay a small fee. And if fewer than 3 customers come back saying they're interested, then we might want to think again, adjust what we're saying, rethink the project. What do you think?
So for the highest uncertainty stuff, the skill is in figuring out what is the lowest cost way and the quickest way to get some sort of reaction back from the world, today. Like, what can we do today?
Yeah.
Which doesn't involve building a single thing.
Yep, that is the trick.
Or making anything, or designing anything.
Yeah. And it's worth saying then what you might hear back from your boss. There's a few things you might hear. One is effectively, wow, yeah, that's brilliant. That's exactly what we need to do. Let's, crack on and tell me what happens. And they really want you to help them figure out how do we shape this idea so that it sells in the market. You don't always hear that though. Sometimes you hear, no, it doesn't matter if nobody wants this. We're building it anyway.
And that's helping you get at the real game, right?
Yeah.
Like, that's such gold dust. Like, if you are able to actually get something explicit from somebody who's calling the shots to actually tell you, we're calling this high priority, but actually, or like we're calling this low priority or that high priority, but actually we're going to do this anyway, even though it seems like it's low priority, or we're not going to do that even though it seems like it's high priority.
Yeah.
That's giving you genuine feedback on where the high value stuff is that you can be doing.
It is. And the official story might be often, hey, this piece of functionality is vital for customers. You then find out actually customers don't want it. And then what you realise is actually, no, we're doing this because we promised it to a partner.
Or because it's essential for us to be investable in a year's time.
Right,
like,
yeah.
We're going to go public, whatever it might be.
Yeah.
Which we can't tell the whole organisation. So
we might not even be able to tell you. We're just going to hint heavily.
Right, and there are things that are important, and we're going to give them fake reasons for why they're important, but they are still genuinely important.
Yeah.
So you can, like you've just described, Tom, like there are ways to kind of have that conversation, and you can get clarity on what's actually important.
Yeah.
It's not always with a clear reason, which can be annoying, but that's a signal that you can still use to just do more strategic work that makes your leaders happier.
And then it's worth to say there's one more sort of cynical route which is worth sharing, which is the one to watch out for, the big red flag, which is no, you need to build this and customers better want it, or it's because you built it wrong.
Right, yeah. I mean, we have to call that out, don't we?
Yeah.
I mean, if that's you, just look for another job. Oh God, I'm
Exactly.
sorry, it sucks, but like that is you are on a path to misery. Like,
You're
there's
being
no
set
way.
up for failure.
You're being set up. There's no way to win that. Just do the bare minimum until you can find something that's not going to lead you to a sad place.
Exactly. Or you might want to play the game to figure out how to protect yourself in that situation. Just know you're probably being outmaneuvered by someone who's much better at it.
Yeah, if you are kind of curious about the political gameplay and like that, when you reach like a certain echelon of business, that is just a lot of the daily lives of people is figuring out how to play this game and playing it better and better. If you are interested in that and you don't hate the idea of it, by all means, like, go down that route and see, okay, given that there is a bit of a setup here, what could I do to protect myself? How can I manoeuvre within this in a way that doesn't see me out of my arse?
Yeah.
Because it can be fun, right? Like, if you if your job isn't life or death, which for a lot of people it is, right? If you can afford to lose your job, then figuring out this kind of gameplay can be really interesting and fun. But it's a luxury that a lot of people don't have.
Yeah, that is exactly it. So there you go. We've got a different frame to approach for your organisation, which will make you more strategic in a broader way by telling more stories and rethinking the signals you're seeing to create new options for action. And then we've got something very tactical, which is context proposition triggers.
We need a snazzier name for that. I'll have a mull over how could we spice that up a bit.
I think CPT is quite good.
It sounds like it's nearly CPR. And that's good.
Yeah. Is it context proposition reversal?
Context proposition riggers.
Riggers! Yeah, I like that.
We should also just mention some other more formal kind of training options that did come up in that thread.
Oh, yeah.
What was the training with Kinevin?
The Kinevin company are doing a new training which is covering all of their frameworks in one. So it's, I guess it's a new, what they might call their base camp, which is introductory level. But in this one, I believe they're going to share all 7 of their frameworks. Mm-hmm. Which include the original Kinevin, obviously, which is useful, we've referenced it, but also include estuarine mapping, and include the new one, which is, I've forgotten the name of it, but it's about risk management.
We can link
and granularity,
to some information about it.
Yeah.
So if there is time and money available for official stuff, then that sounds like it's very worth it.
It should be really fun.
Also, the one-to-one mentoring or team coaching. We do a bit of team coaching, don't we? And one-to-one mentoring.
Exactly, and we do the come in and help you be more strategic. As a team or as an individual, that's all available.
We do. And there's also master multiverse mapping, which is one kind of very specific way to plan your work slightly differently.
Yeah, and we've got a really cool case study for that we're going to be shipping soon. Yeah. If you'd like to see a pre-release draft of that, drop us a line, tentacles@crownandreach.com.
Nice, yeah.
That'd be really good.
That would be really good. For now, we'll link to the course, the kind of self-serve course as it currently stands.
Yeah, we'll link to that as well. But we're really looking at the moment, we want to have more conversations with people who maybe are in that situation where they're being expected to be more strategic, but they're not being told how. We'd love to chat with you. No strings attached, no hard sales pitch, just finding our way through. We're feeling our way through the murky waters of strategy operations in an uncertain world.
Tentacles. No, what is it? What's our email address?
It is tentacles@crownandreach.
Tentacles@crownandreach.com.
Thank you very much.